In the Outsider series. As the Outsiders have been blamed for several murders, they're attempting to fight their way back into Markovia, but they're confronted by Markovian defense robots. As Halo blasts one of the robots with her solar aura, Katana's surprised they haven't called in reinforcements, but luckily, that's because Technocrat is already jamming their transmitters. Geoforce gets hit with a plasma beam, but it doesn't slow him down as he continues to beat the shit out of the robots. Charlie Wild and Katana are right there with him as they beat and slash their way through the robots. But as Katana sees blood on her blade, she comes to the startling realization that these aren't robots, these are men in armor. Geoforce tells them not to kill the men, and now Halo and Technocrat are attempting to stun instead of kill. But Charlie Wild seemingly loses it, not giving a fuck if they're man or machine. He starts clawing his way through the enemy ranks. Geoforce asks Faust, is there no way to end this, seeing as he basically created Charlie Wild by merging him with that animal? Faust tells him there is a way to stop it, but not without a price. As Faust raises his hand, magical energy fills the air as an orb of magical energy seemingly envelops the whole area. By the time the magic clears, the outsiders are in a totally different area, but they didn't come alone, as the Markavian security forces came with them, but they're all dead. Now, Geoforce is like, what the fuck, Faust? I wanted you to end the conflict. And Faust basically tells him that he did. Faust tells Geoforce that he tried to explain that there were factors that he didn't understand, but as Faust and Geoforce argue, Katana senses something to be very wrong. The outsiders came to this village to seek witnesses of them fighting vampires, but as the outsiders are teleported here, everyone seems to be dead and the entire village is in ruin. But the outsiders have even bigger problems as they're now confronted by the Eradicator. The Eradicator no longer wears the shield of Superman, but he still serves justice, and right now, he's here to take out the outsiders. But elsewhere, in the royal chambers of the capital, the vampire Prince Roderick has made himself at home as he's pretty much killed and hypnotized everyone. But as Roderick hears that the Eradicator is confronting the outsiders, he's very pleased that the Eradicator would volunteer his services. But elsewhere, back at the village, all hell is breaking loose as the outsiders now have to deal with the Eradicator. Halo charges, but she gets backhanded and she's forced to take cover with Katana as she's so tired of getting blamed for shit they didn't do. Geoforce tells Faust to stay here and do nothing, and Faust is perfectly happy with those orders. As Faust asks Halo if she thinks they can take the Eradicator, Halo doesn't know, but she's perfectly happy to sit back and watch. Technocrat, Geoforce, Katana, and Charlie Wild proceed to engage the Eradicator. Technocrat attempts to spray the Eradicator with the accelerated ion stream, but it's no use because as the Eradicator puts up his hands, he deflects all the projectiles, forcing the group to shield themselves. But as the Eradicator is distracted, Geoforce charges him, putting him through a wall. Unfortunately, as the smoke clears, Eradicator is the one that comes out on top, leaving Geoforce in the rubble. But as Technocrat tries to shoot the Eradicator with electric projectiles, it's no use as the Eradicator grabs that shit and simply throws it right back at him. Now, Charlie Wild has had enough as he charges the Eradicator and gets some pretty good shots in with his claws. But the Eradicator one taps him while shooting a heat beam at Katana. Luckily, Katana puts up her sword just in time to deflect the beam right back in the Eradicator's face. Now, Katana takes her blade to the Eradicator's chest, attempting to cut out his insides, but it's no use because as she slashes him, she realizes that he's nothing but energy and he simply regenerates as he grabs her by the neck. Now, before the Eradicator can finish off Katana, Geoforce charges, hitting the Eradicator in the face, knocking him through a building. But unfortunately, that won't stop the Eradicator at all. While elsewhere in America, Grell Gardner has heard news of the outsiders' alleged crimes on the TV. Grell Gardner dons his new atomic knight suit as if the outsiders are innocent, they're going to need a friend, while if they're guilty, the atomic knight is going to make them pay. But back in the village, all hell is breaking loose as Geoforce is duking it out with the Eradicator. Halo embraces Faust and tells him, "Let's get out of here." But as Geoforce gets knocked into the wall, he tells Faust to use his magic against the Eradicator. As Sebastian Faust raises his hand, magical energy fills the air, but it's too late as the Eradicator is on that ass, and the Eradicator completely rips off the right arm of Sebastian Faust. Now, if I was Sebastian Faust, there's no way we could ever be cool after ripping off my right arm. But as the outsiders are getting their ass whooped by the Eradicator, Geoforce gets tossed into a building where there just so happens to be one lone survivor. Although the man is dying, he speaks in defense of the outsiders and he tells the Eradicator he's been misinformed. Now, the Eradicator apologizes, but Technocrat is like, "What the fuck, man? You ripped off a guy's arm." But the Eradicator points out it didn't stop Faust, as Sebastian Faust has disappeared. Meanwhile, back at the royal castle, as Prince Roderick sits on the throne, he's sent into a rage as he receives news that the Eradicator has joined forces with the outsiders. To be continued.